L'Econergy Tour.
And now we'll turn our gaze. Well, we'll look up, see what the clouds, the air are offering. Joining us now, a very unique guest here from France, the Brittany section of that country. He's an engineer by trade. He's here as part of a 10-nation tour. It's called the Econergy Tour. It's a combination of ecology and energy. He's a scientist who's studying climate change, not just in his own country, but here in the Western Hemisphere. He started in Montreal and is currently in Boston, on his way eventually to South America. I want to welcome Julien Serrault to our...
Welcome.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Well, this is something a little different. Of course, we're accustomed to, we're talking about environment, issues like this. You bill yourself as a reporter of sorts, and I guess that's ultimately reporting back to the people of France, but what we might consider a citizen journalist, citizen advocate. What was the inspiration for Econergy Tour?
Well, I decided because I was working in Angers, which is south of Britain in France, as energy manager there. So I was working for the, public institution for the city, and I realized that it was a big issue, and I tried to find a way to, as a citizen, to do something. And I decided to, well, I like traveling too, so I decided to build a project where I could travel and then to understand what's going on about energy issues and climate change. And basically what I think is that when you're in your nation, you're in your country, in your state, you've got, you're regarding this issue in a different way than other states, because it's something which is, it depends of what kind of resources you have. Dependent, what about your history? What about your politicians, how they are involved in the subject and everything? And I wanted to make aware more people from France that these issues is not only as we can see it from France,
How would you, I won't say we're new to the issue, but we, up until recently here, we haven't made much progress. And in fact, there's a climate change bill, that legislation going forth in Washington. But how would you rate the kind of sensitivity to it, to these issues in Europe versus, and I know you're just now making your way down through the United States, but what you've experienced so far first in Montreal and then of course here in Boston?
Well, I'd say that to explain where I began in Montreal, and I built most of the report and all the documents and what I wanted to do, because to explain, to understand what's going on, I'm trying to meet with people, actors and people from the territory. I'm spending time on the ground too. I spent 4 months in Montreal because I think it's really important to live with the people to understand what's going on. And so I met probably 35 people, and I did some site visits too, going to some industry to see what about their processes and what about energies in public buildings, for example, how do they manage it. And well, I think that, for example, in Montreal, there are 95% of their electricity come from hydro. So the things are greener, for example, and it's kind of green energy,
Yeah.
But I think that they stayed with that idea that they were the greenest state from North America, and they didn't make any move from the 20 last years, I'd say. So they just stayed with that, and they just starting realizing that they have to move, to make some moves, because for example in California they did some, Massachusetts too. And for example, renewable energy, there's no renewable energy because the cost of the energy is so low. So, things like that.
They haven't made some progress in other areas. Again, Julian Sereau is, of course, he's a energy scientist, I guess I'd have to say, but he's here in America as a citizen journalist of sorts, studying the effects of climate change and how governments, how countries react, how people are working to change the impact of climate change. And he's here tonight. We got him in our studio here at Talk in the Neighborhoods, and if you have a question or comment for him, please do. You've been in Boston now, what?
I arrived here on the 10th of February.
The 10th of February,
yeah.
and you said that your effort is to try and speak with opinion makers, people in the energy business, in the environment business.
Exactly.
Whom have you met with here, and what's your impression in terms of Boston itself, their kind of sensitivity to this issue?
Yeah, I met some people from the city of Boston, the staff from city of Boston. I've been participating to some, in Roxbury, I've been to some workshop about the climate action plan from the city of Boston. And I've met some people, engineers and architects and things like that. And well, my first impression is, there's some, you told that there's some move actually, and there's some bill around, on the table somewhere, waiting for, and I hope something gonna be released, and I really think that something could happen here in the United States, and basically, I really think that my project is not to say, for example, the United States, or they are so far from the goals that we have to accomplish, but that we are all in a state, and we have to make moves. And I really think that I'm more interested in what's going on and what they're trying to implement and what they're trying to change than what they did in the past. So I really think that in America they're going to change, and I've been talking at MIT, that are working a lot on energy.
Well, there's of course some delicious irony, I guess I'd call it, because for years America has been one of the biggest polluters, the largest contributor to greenhouse gases, take your pick. So some would say we're kind of late to the game, and but there's been a lot of pushback to the idea of making the kind of changes that could have an impact on climate change, mainly because of the economic impact. And what have other countries, your own experience in your own country, has that been a factor there? And what do you tell people when you talk to them about that? That they say, whoa, if I'm going to have to give up some of my style of living here, my creature comforts, my what do you tell them?
Well, what I think is that one of the first impressions here, when we talk about renewable energy or maybe climate change, we first think about green jobs. And that's one of the main differences that you could find in France and, for example, here. First thing, the thing about the money that they could do. And, we, as a French, I could say, oh, that's not the way you have to think about it, But if it's a way to develop, technologies and to implement new, energy efficiency in buildings, in industry, and to change the mind of the people, that's the way we have to take. And I'd say that you're maybe late on board on that topic, but you can move fast, and probably faster than countries as France. Because, for example, France, we've got that problem. We've got the idea, but then we have to put, you have to put the money on the table, and when it, we're a little bit cold about that, and when you have to deal with private sectors, for example, and to try to, to retrofit buildings in a large scale, you need a lot of money.
L'Econergy Tour.